I've been performing live here in Chicago. Gosh, with the pandemic, it's such a tough thing to pin down, actually. I'd say about a year and a half. I've been going around to open mics. That was where I started there's a massive open mic scene here, of course, just meeting people, and then actually gigging more so in the past, uh, 6 to 9 months. Yeah.
Do you feel that as an artist, you can only do live performance or working in a studio?
That's a good question, actually. And to an extent, I think that's changing a lot for musicians. For mostly, I'd say for better, because I know a lot of people personally that are musicians and are exceptionally talented, and they're all on YouTube or run Patreon or Twitch and everything like that. That's really blowing up. But I think there's still something to be said for live performance. I think more and more it's becoming a 50-50 balance. But personally, I prefer to perform live. I think there's something still more magical, there's more energy, more to get out of that in a live show.
Okay. Do you feel a touring musician has more credibility than a studio musician?
Credibility. So, I guess as a performer, as someone that's as like a capable musician that can, yeah, sort of like back up their talent, would you say? In a way, I'd say so. Yeah, it's one thing to be able to be a bedroom rock star, so to speak. I guess. Yeah, there's also something to be said for being able to do everything that you do in your room and then replicate that live in a live setting. So I would say yes. I've got a bit more admiration. Not gonna knock the people that are on YouTube and editing videos, but yeah, that's why I'm drawn to live performing. I want to be able to do that just as good as I do in my brain, and yeah, it's in my neighbors upstairs.
So that segues perfectly into my next question. Do you prefer the connectivity between you and the audience doing a live performance, or being alone with your own creativity in the studio?
Yes, definitely the live show. When I'm alone in my room, that's great. I get to hash things out, but that's what that's for. But the whole reason I write music is because I want to perform it live, and yeah, enjoy the happy mistakes.
Okay. Do you feel your music is better experienced live or on wax, where a person can listen to it over and over and like really invest and ingest all the nuances that you put into the song?
It's so funny because I'm gonna say live again. As much work as you put into an album or something like that, because I just recorded my first album and released it within this past year. It feels kind of like sacrilege to say, no, come see it live. Like, that's better when you put so much work and blood, sweat, and tears into it. But yeah, I feel like that's the whole point of it, is to hear the differences and experience it live. That's a true experience that you can't get from throwing I was going to say throwing a CD into your CD player. People don't do that, but yeah, and then streaming something.
Okay. You said you've only been touring for a little bit. What is the most memorable venue you performed at thus far?
Believe it or not, it actually wasn't a venue. It was like one of the best crowds I played for. It was in a cabin at at this theater I was actually working at the time, and I got a bunch of these my fellow company members together, and we were just kind of doing this thing, playing music, and yeah, I played for all of them, and that's the live performance energy. That's why I perform live. You had all these people in this ridiculously close space. No one had COVID, and we were good. We were testing, but Yeah, and everyone was just singing along, taking in the music, listening intently. I've never played a better show.
Live.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah,
That's really that's a feeling that musicians love. You know what I mean?
yeah. You
That connectivity that we were talking about.
you can't really capture that.
Um, I'm sure you're reaching for the stars with your career and your aspirations. You want to go as far as you can go. Is there any arena, venue, stadium that you're like, man, that's where I want to be one day? You know what I mean? Like I want to rock the stage there.
My idol, you might not guess it from listening to my record, is Michael Lagerfeld from Opeth, and they did a show at Royal Albert Hall,
All right.
and they're my favorite band, and so many, it's Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
I love the idea of playing soft acoustic music in this massive stadium. I think there's no reason you can't.
Massive statement would have huge.
Right? Yeah. I think it would sound incredible there. So yeah, I would die happy.
Um, are there any musicians that you would love to support on tour, or vice versa? Would
Oh.
you love to have support you?
I'm glad I mentioned Michael. As much as I would love to open up for a band like Opeth, I feel like that wouldn't work with our styles, because they do the whole heavy death metal thing. I would say if I could open up for the Decemberists, and it might backfire on me, but I think Hozier is one of the greatest musicians alive today. I get that a lot. But yeah, opening up for Hozier would really be incredible. I feel like our styles are different enough that we'd really mesh well. So yeah, Hozier, the Decemberists, maybe if he were still alive, Jeff Buckley. Yeah.
All right. In your mind's eye, where do you want to see your career take you? You had your being a non-stop touring musician, or living in the studio, creating album after album?
I'd rather put a focus on touring, at least for right now, because that's just been the dream of mine for so long. Record a record every 2, 3, 4 years, and then just hit the road for like album, tour for a year or two, something like that. Maybe come back and go from there. But yeah, I want to tour the world if that was on the table.
That's the dream,
Yeah.
I can dig it. Is there a city you love above all others to play at, or a city you haven't yet but look forward to playing?
It's London, and I've actually booked a show there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just found out about it. I'm going to be playing at the Man of Kent in South London, because I'm going over there in November to see Opeth, actually, and meet a bunch of friends I've got over there. So I'm going to be playing a few shows, a few open mics, but that's the one that, I'm going to be playing my stuff.
All right, well,
Yeah, I'm
pretty awesome.
really excited for that.
Yeah. You love the world we live in now, where there's so much connection through the internet, through streaming. People in like 2,000 miles away from who's never met you can hear you and be like, wow, and then you get a connection.
Yeah.
Everything is so reachable now. You know what I mean?
And that kind of goes back to the live or the studio, the bedroom performer, where it is tough for me to take a side, because that's kind of the reason I'm going over here, because I posted my stuff on YouTube and I've met so many people that way. It's hard to argue with, but yeah, you like to think you meet those people and then you can go play live for them.
Yeah.
Though.
Have you ever seen a movie called Searching for Sugarman?
No.
It's an interesting movie. Quick aside, um, if you get time to look it up, this artist created an album in Detroit, like way back in the day.
Oh.
Didn't do anything. Ended up working in like factories for 30 years, just toiling away, just working odd jobs. And then somebody told him, you know, your album is bigger than the Beatles in Japan. Man, he had no idea. So he found out he was like a superstar overseas from these albums he made like 40 years ago.
Wow.
And so they made this whole documentary about this guy called Searching for Sugarman, where like he was discovering like he had this new lease on life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, you know, this movie Searching for Sugarman, this guy, you know, created these albums 30 years ago and forgot about them, and then found out that they were the biggest thing since sliced bread overseas. Like bigger than the Beatles, bigger than the Stones, and like he had this cult following all over the world that his music that connected with them, even though he just created this music in Detroit 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
I love hearing stories like that, and yeah, things like the idea of that happening kind of crosses. I feel like you have to let that cross your mind too, and accept the fact that, yeah, you might not make it while you're in your 30s. Like I'm 30 now, and something kind of similar happened to a guy I idolized, Nick Drake, and he took his own life at 26, and this guy was brilliant. 3 perfect, beautiful records, and in the 90s, his song was in a Volkswagen commercial. Instant overnight success, and everybody was like, oh yeah, I love him. So it's interesting to think about that, you know, while I'm doing this, you just never know. Maybe it's going to be 20 years, maybe it's going to be 5,
Yeah.
maybe never, but
You gotta keep working at it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And just never giving up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look back at artists from yesteryear, you know, I mean, like Michelangelo and Pablo Picasso. I mean, those guys died almost broke, and all their art became legendary and iconic after the fact. You know what I mean?
It's good to take stock of things like
Yeah.
that and really take it to heart. It's easy to forget.
Yeah. 'Cause,
Too
I
easy.
mean, we have sell-by date on our lives, but our artwork is here forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can create a song today that 50, 75, 100 years from now, 20 years, and like, it's a genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like you need to find a way to be happy, truly happy, doing what you're doing, you know, playing gigs in bars where you're just playing for people that may or may not be listening.
Yeah.
If you can't be happy doing that, then yeah, you have to be.
Yeah. So
You got to be.
just keep creating, you know?
Yeah.
Just keep putting it out there and just do what makes you happy and fills your heart. You know what I mean? And hopefully other people will gravitate towards that.
Yeah, and I feel like they do if
Yeah.
you're able to. People pick up on that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess hold for motorcycle. Final question. If your career were to end today, and I'm not saying we want your career to end today, but
Well, you know.
if by happenstance everything ends today, is there a moment up to this point that you're like, you know what, I can hang my hat on that. That was chef's kiss. Like I love
Yeah.
that was the moment.
If I get hit by a speeding motorcycle on my way to my car, I would say this kind of ties into the previous question too. My debut record that I put out, I was just kind of posting idly on Instagram, and I got a message from these folks out in Boston, and Plaid Dog Recording, and they said, "Hey JJ, you know, we dig your stuff. We help people."
You recorded the album.
Yeah, they helped me do all of that, and they helped me crowdfunds, and they said, you know, we'll help you raise the money and show you how to market yourself, and then we'll fly you out to Boston, and we'll record this thing. You can release it. You get all the rights. I mean, looking back on it, I was able to raise just under $9,000 from a bunch of friends, family, acquaintances, people that I never thought would give what they gave. And the fact that I was able to just do that and get it done, I have to remind myself of that sometimes, because that's not a small feat. And you know what? I just went and did it. I recorded the record in 2.5 days, and now I'm just doing my things. I don't think a lot of people can say they did that, so yeah, you know what? I'm happy if nothing else comes of it. I've got a debut record out called 28 Club. Yeah, it's on Spotify. I don't have it up here, but my Instagram, JJ Smith Music. These are all just if you want to send me money, which I'm not opposed to. But you can listen to that on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere else.